And welcome back. Today we are flying out the B109E-7 at 2.3. Why it's 2.3? No idea. Well, I do know why it is. It's because Gaijin spaghetti code has no business being there. But here we are nonetheless. Today for you I got quite a few fun fights actually. We're flying low tier, so I'm not gonna try hard as much. I'm just gonna get as many kills as quickly as I can. And this makes for some interesting scenarios that I wanted you to see today. So we're going to start off with this Junker 87. He's not really a prime target, but I want the P38 next to him to engage me, so I'm just going to shoot him a little bit. If I get a free kill out of it, that'd be great. Unfortunately, he turns my pilot into an Oompa Loompa. Here comes the P38, so we are just going to kind of turn under him. If he dives on us, he will compress. I turn in front of him to bait him into turning with me. He does. From his point of view, it looks like he's going to pull into me, except I have so much more maneuverability that he just ends up stalling directly into my guns. And there goes kill number 1. Thank you to all my patrons, you'll show up on the top right now. And thank you all for 40k. Actually, I hadn't expected to ever reach this. A few years ago I said I'll probably never reach 10. Here we are with 4 times that amount. So thank you all for sticking around. I normally don't really put that much emphasis on these milestones. And here I am thinking how I can make this thank you any more generic. But I really can't really put it into words. I'm really just thank you, really. I can't really do more than that. So I hope you'll stick around for longer. At least longer than these enemies will. So here we are with the BF-109 as well as a P40. And I'm really not too worried about the P40. So I will just kind of dodge the P40. And then see if I can focus on the 109. So we go straight up. The 109 doesn't have nearly enough energy to pull with us. And the P40 is flying into the opposite direction. He's doing the right thing. But this makes it so that I can kind of just engage the BF-109. Because the P40 simply does not turn well enough. And is not fast enough to now turn into me. We get a hit with a 20 mil. Second 20 mil is a little bit less nice to him. And sends him directly to the Shadow Realm. Here comes the P40. We just have to dodge his guns. And the second we dodge this merge, it's basically done deal. Because the P40 has really no actual chance in a fight like this. So we pull in. We miss. But at this point we have too much position. And he can't really do much other than try and dive away. But he pulls straight into our guns. We get a crit. And he realizes he's lost. And he is going to do exactly as I just said. And he's going to try and dive away. Which is the right thing to do here. You want to reset the fight. Because that fight prolonged would have been very bad news for him. So we have the P40 who's diving away. And that's two things I can do here. And the right thing to do would to focus down the P40. Because he has more energy. But he's pulling the other way. And I see 2 guys on the deck over there. So I just think fuck it. The second he actually breaks off, he gives me some room. I'm just going to commit to these 2 guys. Because the P39N is a pretty dangerous opponent. Also no business at 2.7. But you know, here we are. And the P39 is flying in the opposite direction. The SBD is proving himself a very easy target. So I want to get him out of the air right now. Because I do not want that thing in the mix when I'm dogfighting a P39. Or perhaps the P40 that's now turning back in. So we dodge the P39. We go up, SBD puts the fire out. Here comes the crit P40 going super fast. So I'm going to try and go underneath him to make him miss. Instead, he actually does hit us. And then he also hits the ground. P39 is slowly getting reversed. Even with the crit wing, he's going to end up right in our guns. And then the SBD decides he has seen enough and slams it into the ground as well. And that's going to be a sweet little 3 times. Now we have an S199 below us, which is not, as we all know, the main threat here. But he's going to be very annoying because he has very, very good guns. So we dive on the S199 because I kind of wanted him to just be gone. I do not want him to come at me as I am stalled out. So I push him into the ground. I then climb away because I see that there is multiple enemies coming. I have a Yak 1, which I'm not too worried about dogfighting. It is very close. It is a very good plane. But I'm not inherently too worried about it. It's mostly that I have to stall fight the Yak. And then the S199 is going to get a very clear shot with his MG151. So the S199 isn't really an issue in itself. It's just if he gets a single angle on us, we are going to die. So I'm going to try to wrap this up as quickly as I can. Yak 1 coming in. I'm going to try and stall him out. It looks like he's doing the right thing and he's actually paying attention. So I can't wrap this fight up. I have to give the Yak 1 some position back in order to not die to the S199. So I'm going to actually dive out here. Pick up some speed, reset the fight with the Yak, try to get the S199 tangled up in the same fight, and then we can actually dogfight both of them at once. I can then just ignore the S199, that's 1 pass that he gets. After this, he is going to be completely useless. They both hit me despite clearly not hitting me. Thank you guys in servers. But now we can just put it into a little bit of a vertical. At least it didn't kill me. And the S199 will not be able to keep up with this. I don't want to go too steep. I also don't want to go too shallow. But the Yak 1 is going to try and pitch up after us. The S199 is never going to get that shot. So I drop my landing flaps. I style properly. And I very slowly but surely drift right into his cockpit. Down goes the Yak 1. And now the S199 is right below us. He's a sitting duck. Unfortunately for us, we are slightly damaged now. And he is going to run away forever. Well, until he turns into a dolphin anyway. So, a little bit later, I'm still flying around. And I have an SBD here. And there's a Yak 1 as well as the POTAS that are camping the base for now. So I'm just going to ignore them. I'm going to bait them out by engaging the bomber. I get my engine one shot. I'm not sure if that's actually the gunner or AA. But you know, at this point it doesn't really matter. We are damaged and we now have to reset. Your screen didn't freeze, that was my recording. So we are now with a damaged engine, ticket disadvantage, and the POTAS is simply way too low. The MiG-3 in a dogfight, really not that much of a threat, especially if we have some energy coming into the fight. We are gonna go straight up. If he tries to follow, he dies. If he doesn't, he will still die because it is a MiG-3. Look at the speed, he didn't even try to follow it. He had to dive away actually here and try to win on tickets that way, but doesn't really matter. He's too slow to do anything. MiG-3 is a very sad plane when it comes to a scenario like that. POTAS tries to pitch up for us, and the POTAS turns very well, but it also has very little energy. And if it doesn't have energy, it can turn that angle into a shot. Then that turning potential doesn't really matter. And I still have a lot of ammo here. I want to kill this guy as quickly as I can. Mainly because of tickets, but also because I know he has a gunner. And I do not want to go into a prolonged dogfight with it. Even more so considering I had slight engine damage. I just really wasn't feeling it. So there's the FU-1A here, who's playing energy. And he's doing a very bad maneuver here. He's going straight up and he's going to stall into my gun. So I get the ability to very easily just shoot him down. We get a hit, we hit him a little bit more. And then we can't stick any longer because the Yak 1 is coming in. I probably could have killed him right there if I had stuck a little bit longer. But then the Yak 1 would have very easily mopped me up. So I'm going to dive out, get a little bit of speed back. And see if I can rope them both into the same fight. So I go horizontal here to turn into the FU-1A. See if I can make him compress. See if I can get him very close to the ground. He breaks off prematurely because he has to. And now I'm forced to go very steep here. Almost float into his guns. And he kind of gets me stuck. In a very bad situation. Luckily the FU-1A is losing a lot of speed here trying to turn around. And he doesn't turn that well at these speeds. So I have some time here to reset. I'm going to do the same thing again. We're going to pick up some speed. I'm going to use that speed to dodge the FU-1A. And then we're going to turn all that speed back into fighting the Yak 1. The FU-1A this time plays it a little bit more aggressive. And he's going to end up actually flying into our guns. Luckily for him, he actually noticed. And he dodges us properly. The FU-1A is now kind of just looping us. And the Yak 1 is actually dogfighting us completely. The thing is, if this FU-1A keeps fighting us like this, he will eventually run out of energy, and the Yak 1B is also not going to win this fight with me. So right now I'm simply turning after both of them, and I managed to rope them into the fight together. They are both basically next to each other right now. This is the way I went vertical and the way I went horizontal at the right times. And eventually what will end up happening is that they will end up both directly in front of me. Now the FU-1A here is definitely not the biggest threat. He can very easily run away, but he is not gonna be out-turning us at all. And at this point they stuck way too long. One of them had to break off here, and then they could have recommitted. They could have re-engaged me as I was busy with the other one. Luckily, neither of them did that. So I got the shot on the Yak 1, and the FU-1A is, well, you guessed it, right next to him. And they both get a grave next to each other, because that's also the way they flew. And here we are a little bit later. We have quite a defensive game here. It's a lot of defensive flying. There's a lot of just being kind of lucky and picking the right targets. But there's a P-63 coming in, and the P-63 is definitely not winning a dogfight with us. But he is kind of annoying to fight. What we want to do is keep him as slow as humanly possible, because his prop efficiency at low speed is absolutely abysmal. And you can tell that he is just falling out of the air. He is not having a good time. We are going to drop the flaps. We're going to try and pull in but half their enemy team is now also converging on us, which is less than ideal, but hey, at least the Pixie tree is right in front of us, so we're gonna try to gun him down right here. Luckily he goes down with the second burst, P39Q, as well as the BF109 coming in from the left. Luckily it's an F2, so it's not too dangerous. The 15 mil isn't that damaging. And I can't really keep going up right there, because I will give the P29 an angle. So instead I have to reset the fight with the 109 here, give him a lot of positioning back. Luckily I do out dogfight both of these guys, so I just want to be kind of defensive right now, see where both of them are going. BF9 coming back in, keep looking at him. I don't want to go too fast because then I will compress and I will lose all my advantages. So I'd rather just keep this around 400 to 450 kilometers an hour, which is exactly what we are going to be doing. P29 turns in front of us, we shoot off his wingtip, and now we are going to be looking around again to see if we are being engaged. And unfortunately for us, it's a P36. Now that thing is very dangerous to fight because it's very turning. Yes, that's the word now. He's very maneuverable, especially at those lower speeds. It's one of those lower tier planes that simply turns around its own axle. Luckily we were going a little bit slower, and with a proper line we end up getting a gun solution. So we crit him and he is still completely out turning us. Luckily we are going downwards and I have some position here, so he ends up actually turning straight into our guns. Now he is crit. Look around again for the BF9. He is now being engaged by someone else, and we gun down the P36. The BF9 then gets mopped up by one of my teammates. And here for the last fight, has been going pretty quickly today. We are going to be diving on this little blob, and the 122 actually kind of gets slammed the second I come in, and I'm going way too fast. I cannot pull up at all. I can't commit to that shot because then I will probably hug a tree. And instead of cutting throttle and trying to not compress, I'm just going to try and use all my speed to get the hell out of there, because I really wasn't feeling that dogfight with three of them at once, especially with that I-16 in the mix. Now the I-16 on its own is really not that much of an issue, but I'm really not feeling dogfighting two of them with an I-16 just kind of helicoptering behind them. So I loop over, the Yak one actually takes the fight, so we dodge the head on and we just pull up and over, and look at that, he is completely stalled out. We are gonna go up and over, just as I just said, and we're gonna try and see if we can shoot him down a little bit here. Now he actually flies away. He's gonna give the lag tree a little bit more time to actually pull in for us, which is exactly what he does. I then miss my shot, I hit the MG, but no real damage. Lag tree breaks off, so I think I have a free fight with the Yak 1 here, and then the millisecond I do, the lag tree actually pulls back in, which is what he should do, but I'm going to complain about it nonetheless. Here comes the lag tree, we go head on, we just dodge the head on because the lag tree really is not that much of an issue. But he is going to be an issue if he actually keeps playing this right, because even though he is in a pretty bad plane, it's 2v1, and if he positions himself properly, he's going to make it a very tough fight for me. Now the lag tree luckily doesn't really have the energy to be that annoying, but I need to get him out of here, because otherwise he's going to end up killing me, because he's actually playing it smart. He is clearly the smarter of these two, but by doing so I'm going to give the Yak 1 an angle, and again I get hit by shots that clearly shouldn't reach me. Thank you Gaijin ×2. We go straight up, we have an orange engine, and I will still completely outperform this Yak 1, because well, I'm a BF109E. Look how much more energy I have. He is stalled out and I have all the maneuverability in the world. Just pull straight back down and then pull straight up into him. And there goes the Yak 1. That's roles reversed. Just pull into him and down he will go. Thank you all for watching. See you all in the next one.